where you get the clutch out where it's just.
This has been going great. You guys are doing an excellent job. It's unique for me to be here and not be running the show. That's being here and just keeping my mouth shut and staying out of, giving improvements or suggestions to people to modify things. It's been a unique experience, but I'm enjoying it.
And just because you're not here technically working as part of the event, that doesn't mean the hamster wheel isn't running outside. So I know you're always watching and pulling things. Is there anything that maybe you can share that stood out to you about this that you might keep in your back pocket?
Yeah, there's a handful of things that I've seen that are definitely going to catalog and just keep in the back of mind. It's interesting because not having to look at it in terms of watching these events and seeing how they're flowing, but looking at it in terms of the games and what I'm programming now for that event, and finding inspiration or seeing things that we can maybe carry over. It's been a really unique look. Because as you guys know, in years past, I didn't travel to any of the other events. But this is the first time I've traveled to an event of this scale and been in this position.
Event 5 for the individuals, the Tri-Wizard Cup. And it's really been the total bar time, the key, at least in the first heat.
Yeah, 80 total toes to bar, significant volume there. 4 rounds total, 20 calories on the back for the women, 10 thrusters, 40-foot overhead walking lunge. But again, it comes down to the toes to bar and the pace that you can keep on them.
First round is underway. We start with those 20 calories on the bike. The time to beat belongs to Megan O'Donnell, 13:24. She did that in the first of these 3 heats. And Dave, I know that you have not been dealing with ideal conditions when it comes to putting on any semblance of a season. But what do you thought about the way that things have played out so far?
I'm really happy. It's been the 3-week open was I believe a huge success for the affiliates and for that stage. And then let's say the 3-week open in the semifinals, that would have been missed. That would not have been a good expression of the season. But the 3-week open in the quarterfinals, then quarterfinals into this. It allows for a more comprehensive test to advance the right athletes to that next stage. It's funny, I was talking to Rich earlier, and he usually doesn't give me much praise. He praised the format. He really enjoyed the quarterfinals. He had some good feedback too that makes sense and that I heard. We'll move forward and possibly incorporate some of it.
Second of 3 heats here. Winter Nicolette Rodriguez currently sits in 11th place overall, trying to work her way into that final heat. She trails Kelly Clark by 18 points.
Yeah, she's right on the bubble to maybe punching into that top heat. Remember, we're going to resort after this event, get set up for the finale. So for an athlete like Winter Nicolette Rodriguez, who was in the final heat yesterday, excuse me, saw her place in the leaderboard slip. This is an important event for her to maybe finish strong and get to be able to end the weekend shoulder to shoulder with the top women in this event.
And she will be the second woman on the thrusters as Kyra Milligan in lane 3 is your leader. Kat Grillo is in lane 6. She's another athlete vying for a spot inside the top 10. She's in the white top, black shorts, just got to the barbell. She comes in 12th place overall, 212 total points, 28 points back of Kelly Clark for 10.
Yeah, Kat Grillo just 10 points back of Winter Nicolette. Has an opportunity, maybe she puts up a top time here. Potentially overtake Winter Nicolette and maybe put herself in the conversation for the final heat as well.
Leaders on the screen, David. Tommy mentioned that the hamster wheel is always spinning. I know you guys are knee-deep and planning for the games. What can fans expect to see when we get to that?
Oh, it's going to be a great show. It's going to be, we're going to push the envelope again. We're going to push these athletes and test these athletes with some new and exciting elements that have never been seen before. So I'm very excited about the games. As I always, and it's interesting, this will be the 15th games. And anytime we get into the programming phase and the planning and the execution of it, there's always this, I have not lost that flame or that fire. The excitement is there, and it's the passion that we're putting in as a team into this event. It's going to be monumental.
And this is really the first time in a while you've had the full canvas with all your paints. What's it been like to be back in that setting where you know that you really don't have to restrict the play like that?
Amazing. And I just feel like there's some things we've had in mind for years past and we haven't been able to. And the restrictions for Madison are pretty loose right now, meaning we're expecting they're allowing us that full fan local attendance. So that's really exciting. Hopefully we can get people to rally and show up. We have about 60% capacity at the stadium full right now, which is amazing considering everything that's going on. So we need to just keep pumping the message, keep letting people know, hey, come to the games because the athletes are coming and the show is going to be amazing.
Lane 3 is Kyle Milligan, who is your leader. She's in her second round of toes to bar. And in lane 5 is winner Nicolette Rodriguez, who sits in second place. Remember, she's trying to get inside the top 10. Only trails Kelly Clark by 18 points. And she is now on her second set of 20 toes to bar.
Kyle Milligan has already dropped twice. Maybe it's a strategic break, but this second set of toes to bar was where we saw the event turn in the previous heat. That's where Megan O'Donnell really took control of the heat, and from there on out was able to hold on to that top spot. So maybe it was just a strategic break for Kyle Milligan, saving some energy for these thrusters and right into the lunge.
Final thruster is done for Kyra Milligan, and then she will take off on her second 40-foot trip down the floor. Milligan out of Metcon CrossFit in Murray, Utah. And she is maintaining her lead over winner Nicolette Rodriguez.
Seeing the athletes from all over the country has been enough unique. Being something used to regionals where when you come to an event like this, you meet people from the East Coast. But seeing people from Santa Cruz, Harlem, down from Hawaii, even, that's been really cool.
Kyra Milligan is done with round 2. Back to the concept 2 bike as winner Nicolette Rodriguez got hit with a no rep, and now the field started to catch up with her. I want to thank one of our partners for today's broadcast, CBDMD, the CBD you can trust. Visit cbdmd.com/CrossFit and use the code CrossFit for 30% off your order today. Second of 3 heats for event 5 for the women. Time to beat Megan O'Donnell 13:24. It's Kyra Milligan who is your leader right now at the halfway point of this event.
And in that last round, winner Nicolette Rodriguez got a single no rep on the overhead walking lunge. We saw the previous heat how costly that can be. Just from that one no rep, Rebecca Fuselier, Leah Irons both passed Rodriguez. Some precious points being lost just from one no rep on the lunge.
Rebecca Fuselier in lane 7, she's on the left of your screen, and Leah Irons on lane 8, trying to put a little pressure on Kyra Milligan here in the third of 4 rounds to try with the cup. How have you guys been able to deal with Dave, all the changing circumstances from one day to the next about what's going to be available, what's not, how many people are going to be allowed, what you can do?
It's been chaotic. This whole year, the planning for every stage, especially these in-person events. It's been a wild ride, but we had a plan that we put in place that allowed us the flexibility to go to this stage where, okay, this event's not going to happen in person, now it has to go online, and yet the same cohort of individuals, the same people will still compete. That we took all of that into consideration in the initial build-out, gave us the confidence and the flexibility to get to this stage where I'm ecstatic that we have 50% of the events going. 5 out of 10, that's a great outcome. And it's cool seeing the fans here.
And you mentioned that you have traveled to a lot of these events much. Why was it important for you to be here as we opened up live competition in North America?
Well, now this is part of the season, right? I mean, like really part of the season. In years past, they were sending 1 athlete, now here we're sending 5. And we have a much closer relationship with these events. We're more involved in more collaborative than ever before. So, and since it's part of that season, it meant a lot for me being here to show support to the organizers and the people who are involved in the event.
Kyra Milligan continues to lead here as we're in the third of 4 rounds. The Cowboys are cut 20 toes to bar. She needs to complete, and then it's back to the 10 thrusters at 95 pounds. Where were the areas that you really tried to help guide these events, and where were the areas where you let them sort of do their own thing?
Well, we tried. We guide them in what sense?
More input than not.
in like which regard, though, like programming or just
That's what I'm asking you.
Well, with programming, we let these guys all program, and we gave them some general guidelines, and then we received it, and we had our team sign off on it. We gave some small tweaks, and personally, I stayed away from it. I didn't put my eyes on any of the programming. Had Raj and some of that team take charge of that, and I just stayed away from it and let them, they asked me a few questions about some movements or some stylistic things. I did my input on that, and they made the final call.
Rebecca Fuselier has now moved into the lead ahead of Kyra Milligan as she has finished up her third set of 10 thrusters and now on her third overhead walking lunge. Milligan now back in second place, and Leah Irons in lane 8 is threatening to pass her, and she has done so. So Leah Irons now moving into second.
Milligan had to break up that third set of toes bar multiple times yet again. Now she's starting to struggle with the overhead walking lunge. Irons had got a no rep on one of the thrusters. She was neck and neck with Fuselier, so a couple of mistakes for both athletes have opened up the door for Rebecca Fuselier to take control of this heat.
Milligan falling back into third place, and she has some athletes now starting to breathe down her neck a little bit here on this overhead walking lunge. In lane 2, Olivia Sulin is creeping up. Winter Nicolette Rodriguez as well in lane 5 as Milligan has one final lunge to complete. She's across the finish line, and she will join Rebecca Fuselier and Leah Irons on the bike. 13:24 is the time to beat, and we are about 10 minutes and 18 seconds into this event.
You can see the difference between the top three athletes right now. Kyra Milligan, her posture is slumping off the bike. Had to take a second to sit up, get her torso upright, take a few breaths. Fuselier is looking left and right, kind of scanning the competitive field. She looks locked in and focused. You can even get a little guess as to what their pace is, watching the foot cadence on the bike as well.
Rebecca Fuselier, very calm and collected and composed here. She is on her fourth and final round on that Concept 2 bike. They have to complete 20 calories. She's at a CrossFit Bowl in Coppell, Texas. Two-time teenage competitor at the CrossFit Games. Finished 10th in 2017 in the 16 to 17-year-old division, and then 9th the prior year in 2016. Dave, what are the things that you think have really gone great so far this season for you guys, given all the changing circumstances?
The first, everything up to this point, to qualify the athletes at this point, I think has gone really right. Meaning that I really happy with the execution of the open quarterfinals. Because I do believe, again, I mentioned this at the top of this conversation, if it had been open to semifinals here, we would have missed the mark. But the inclusion of the quarterfinals, that was a huge move and a huge success for us.
I know you guys reached out to the community too about the reaction to the 3-week open. What was the feedback you got?
They like it. Yeah, so it's definitely something that's here to stay. As competitors at our level, maybe not Tommy's level, but we appreciate it too because the demand of 5 weeks on us is just, on the average person, is a lot. Staying focused and engaged for 5 weeks versus 3.
Rebecca Fuselier on that last set of toes to bar went unbroken 20 straight. Every other athlete so far has had to break up multiple times. Only athlete we've seen go unbroken on that final set has really separated herself from Leah Irons.
Fuselier on her final march down the floor here, and she is going to beat Megan O'Donnell's prior top time. 13:24, pardon me, was the best time that O'Donnell put up in heat number 1. And Fuselier is in, and we'll call it 13:12 unofficially for her. Great performance for Rebecca Fuselier in heat 2.
You see Leah Irons widening her grip out on the overhead walking lunge. That's usually a mobility issue where as you get tired, your shoulders start to tighten down. Really, that's just allowing her to keep the bar in a good enough position to complete the overhead lunge.
Irons it's in. At about 13:40 unofficially. That means that May O'Donnell's time is now the second best behind Rebecca Fuselier. Over in lane 2, Olivia Sulik has come across. She will take third in the heat. And Kyra Milligan, who at one point was the leader, led through the first half of this event. Bottom left of your screen is trying to lock up fourth place. So you've got to continue to move because Winter Nicolette Rodriguez is starting to bear down on her. Milligan is in just ahead of Winter Nicolette Rodriguez. Emily DeFeo is in lane 4. And she will come across the finish line well inside the 18-minute time cap.
Impressive push from Sulik to go from middle of the pack to finish third in that heat. And also Milligan too, you can see her start to get the speed wobbles up top with the shoulders in midline. She actually picked up her foot cadence. Sometimes it's just a matter of time under tension, and you know that your shoulders won't be able to hold much longer, so she took a chance, rifled through those final few steps, and it paid off.
What's up next for you, Dave?
Well, I'm off today, and then I'll do some work in the week on specific games, and then I have to get it off time to count later, and I take the Metcon next week. I'll be there for a day. Then after that, and then I will end up on the West Coast. From West Coast, we go straight to Madison for the big games planning meeting. And so it's cool. It's all in and out of the games.
We've talked about this before too. Now that you have a season where you have the full support of everybody around you, what does that allow you to do that's maybe different?
Well, it's nice to have this company behind support, and we're able to promote and engage all channels, not just in years past. It felt like we could only really push this via the games channel, but now with the company-wide support, we're able to promote it via all other channels, which is a huge advantage to get the word out about the sport, and also using the sport still to support affiliates and training and the other additional areas that we focus on.
Dave, we always appreciate you taking the time to stop by and chat. Always a good time. Safe travels, best of luck, and I look forward to seeing what you're cooking up for Madison.
Thanks, guys.
Rebecca Fuselier with your top time, 13-12 unofficially, your new leader heading into the third and final heat, and made a late push to take first place in the heat.
Yeah, she started to take control in that second round. She was locked in and focused on the bike. You could see she was comfortable. The only athlete to go unbroken on her final set of 20 tons of bar. Give her enough of a cushion. She could stay locked in on the overhead walking lunge. And it was smooth sailing from there on out as she marched her way to a heat win.
13-12 unofficially for Rebecca Fuselier. She is one of the athletes who's trying to work her way into the final heat.
It's the fastest time we've seen so far coming into this event, 14th overall. She's still about 58 points back of 10th place, but setting the time to beat so far should be able to potentially make up some ground, give her an outside shot at moving up in the final heat.
One heat remains, the final heat for the women, and plenty still needs to be decided here. Jess Griffith comes in 5th place overall, trying to hold off quite a few athletes who still have a very good chance of catching her.
Yeah, only 16 points separate her in 5th from Fisa Gapi in 7th. Trying to fight off a very good game, Christine Kohlenbrander, who's been solid all weekend long. Opened up the weekend with an event win in 8 Mile. Happy little accent because she thought she loaded 205, actually loaded 210. Backs it up with another top 10 performance in Need for Speed. And so far, has been given a good push for the top 5, one of those game spots all weekend long, despite standing shoulder to shoulder with some of the biggest names in the sport. Fisa Gapi really had to do damage control in the opening event, and then she has picked up steam slowly throughout the weekend after a 21st place finish in 8 Mile, 4th in Need for Speed, 4th in Grill, 7th place finish in Inception, giving herself a shot gave birth after she had her invite to the games taken away last year.
Overall standings coming into this fifth event. The top 5 advancing to the 2021 Noble CrossFit Games. Jess Griffith right now is in that final spot, but only by 10 points. Spots 6, 7, 8, and 9. There's plenty on the line for them as well because those positions will earn a ticket to the last chance qualifier. Danielle Dunlap is trying to fend off a challenge from Kelly Clark. Tia Toomey not trying to fend off anybody right now. She is all by herself by 48 points in first place.
You know, Tia just continuing her winning streak. This year, after winning her 4th consecutive CrossFit Games title, the question, how can she continue to improve? Well, you know, she comes in, she wins the Worldwide Open. It's the one stage of competition she had yet to win. Checks that off the list. Comes in, has a strong performance again, winning in quarterfinals. Now she's here in person to the semifinal when we thought she might not be able to compete in person because of the COVID restrictions for travel. Backfield spots opened up an opportunity for her to compete in person, and she has delivered so far.
Final heat in the Tri-Wizard Cup for the women when we return to the Mid-Atlantic CrossFit Challenge.
Yeah.
Two events stand between 5 athletes and a trip to the 2021 Noble CrossFit Games here in the Mid-Atlantic CrossFit Challenge in Knoxville, Tennessee. Thanks for being with us, everybody, inside the Thompson Bowling Arena on the campus of the University of Tennessee. Sean Gold and Tommy Marquez with Nikki Brazier. Final heat for event 5 for the women is up next, and there is still a ton to be decided when it comes to who is advancing to the games and who gets one more chance to qualify for a trip to Madison. Overall standings coming into event number 5, Tia Toomey all by herself atop the overall leaderboard by 48 points. Jessica Griffith right now hanging on to the final qualifying spot for the games, but only 10 points up by Christine Holenbrander and only 16 up on Fee Sagafi as we head to Tri-Wizard Cup.
Fans of the Harry Potter franchise will recognize this name. 4 rounds for time, 20 calories in the air bag for the women, 20 toes to bar, 10 thrusters, 40-foot overhead walking lunge with that 95-pound barbell. Nice mixture of skills here.
Start list presented by CBD-MD. Tia Toomey, the overall leader in the middle of the floor. Jess Griffith will be in lane number 3. And one of the women she's trying to hold out will be right next to her in lane 2. Christine Holenbrander will be on the other side of the floor. She is in lane 8. And we begin with the 20 calories on the concept tube bike.
And the inspiration for this name title for this event, Tri-Wizard Cup, speak with Luke Espy, co-program. This is that, you know, the Harry Potter series, the Tri-Wizard Cup, Harry wins it. He wasn't the best at any one thing. He was good at the mixture of skills, and that's what's really going to help you succeed here. You have the gymnastics movement, the weightlifting movement, modern structural movement. Nice little mixture with the overhead walking lunge.
Jess Griffith right now in fifth place overall, 296 total points, has steadily improved as this competition has gone on. She started with a tie for ninth in the 8 mile, but had her best finish to close out day number 2, a fifth place in inception.
It's been kind of a seesaw few years for Jess Griffith in the sport. Qualified for the games in 2017, missed it in 2018, goes team in 2019, trying to go back as an individual for the first time in nearly 4 years.
4 athletes to the toes of bar at the same time. Brooke Wells, Tia Julie, Haley Adams, Amanda Barnhart. Nicole Gibson-Bork is there as well as Kelly Clark, the final athlete to be pulled up bar for 20 toes to bar. Fisa Gafi comes in 7th place overall. That would give her a trip to the last chance online qualifier. But she's only 16 points back at Jess Griffith. That's the race that you're going to want to watch between these lanes 3, 1, and 8. And all 3 of those athletes still on the toes to bar as your overall leaders are on the barbell for their first set of 10 thrusters. Jess Griffith getting into the thrusters just ahead of Fisa Gafi. Gets 2 reps now, 3 reps in before Sagafi gets her hands on that 95-pound barbell. And here comes Kelly Clark in lane 10.
And Sagafi will have the benefit of being in the lane next to Jess Griffith, so she can keep an eye the entire way on the woman that she needs to catch in order to try and secure one of those top 5 spots.
Danielle Dunlap over in lane 1 has an outside shot of punching into the top 5, but for her, she is in 9th place. That means she is the last person to qualify for the last chance online qualifier. 42 points out of a qualifying spot for the games, but coming in only has a 14-point lead over Kelly Clark down in lane 10, and Clark right now ahead of Danielle Dunlap. Jess Griffith is back to the bite, ahead of both Fisa Gafi and Christine Kohlenbrander. The top 5 women in the overall standings are the top 5 in this heat. As they start their second round, Kelly Clark from CrossFit Up in Santa Cruz, California, trying to work her way into a spot in the last chance online qualifier, 10th place overall coming into this event.
And Kelly trains just up the road from me. Quite familiar with her as an athlete and friend, and she loves the toes to bar portion of this particular test. And as we've seen in previous heats, proficiency in the toes to bar, especially in the later rounds, has proven to be the difference maker.
Kelly Clark on the right trying to surpass Danielle Dunlap for 9th place overall and put herself in contention for a spot in the last chance online qualifier. I want to thank one of our partners for today's broadcast, Thorne, personalized scientific wellness. Visit Thorne.com and check out the official supplement partner of CrossFit, trusted by U.S. national teams and more than 100 professional sports teams. Tia Toomey is your leader, followed by Haley Adams. The top 2 women in the overall standings. Brooke Wells, who is 3rd, will be the 3rd woman to the toes to bar. And now Amanda Barnhart, who is in 4th, will be the 4th woman to the toes to bar. She's on the right side of your screen.
Tia Toomey and Haley Adams picking up right where they left off last night. You remember Haley and Tia were the 2 front runners in inception, basically at the front of the pack the entire way. They finished 1.